just use it. I mean, I don't bother using that bit there, to be honest with you. And
yeah, you have your the hooks at an angle, don't
sort of, they're quite long and yeah, set at an angle. I mean, the reason being, in my opinion, you know, the thing is, both rigs are successful. I mean, you talk stacks of carp on that, I've put stacks on my version. But at the end of the day, I think, you know, it's down to personal preference. But you've got a nice sharp hook, and you know, that's one of the main things. Long shankers as well, we both really like them, don't we? They turn and flip and grip, and they're just good. Thoroughly recommend them. The other little thing I tend to do as well, if I'm casting, I mean, you don't have to do it if you're dropping from a boat and stuff. It's just to protect the knot on that and to kick the rig away from the lead. You just use that piece of rubber there. You can use... What is it? I mean, what rubber is it? Just a bit of silicone or...? You can use silicone, like 1.5 mil, just so it fits tight on the end of the swivel, on the eye. And or else, I used to get these off Dan Fairbrass. That's the shop leader's sleeves. Just goes down the middle. I cut the bead off the end and just use that piece. It's, you know, it fits perfectly well. And never get tangles. It seems to kick the hook length away from the lead every time. So we just change over to that then. Good old snowman presentation. It's funny, you know, a lot of people use single hook baits or just one bait in England, and as soon as they come to France, it's 2 baits. And I've done the same myself, you know. I'm a great lover of 2 baits. I mean, the thing is, when you think about it, it's a bit like, I mean, I can remember when I was first using double baits, to me it was a little bit like a new rig, because it's a different feeling inside. I mean, carp hasn't got hands, it can't pick up it and have a feel, but it's got to suck it into its mouth, and 2 baits must be a different feeling than just a single bait, and you know, just sort of a little moment confusion, and it's harder for them to spit out on it. I mean, these French fish and some of the European fish have massive mouths on them. So it's just more of a mouthful for them. So that same sort of thing, you know, so a little pop up there, and same long shank hook and hook linkers here and everything. This is £25 gear. This is something I've been experimenting with. That I've sourced myself. It's very nice stuff. Dynamico. And it's quite simple but very effective. And that's what the big fella came on. That's it. So nothing fancy, but strong and efficient, you know. But now I have mine on a float. It's quite interesting. I mean, really good. I mean, I like a bit of the old float fishing. There's nothing like sort of sitting there, you know, when you're stalking, just watching the float. I know you can sort of, you know, some people just plop it in on the bottom. But to me, there's something a little bit special about floats. But these are ever so good. You know, these lock slide floats. I mean, actually, who makes them then? I've not seen them before. Dave Thomas. Right. But this is the actual one, if I can get him untangled. Well, I actually broke it, but you know, it still works. I mean, a lot of people throw that away, wouldn't they? I'm not tight, but it still works the same. It just has a red top, that's all. But basically what you do, you cast it in. That's like a non-toxic weight of about half ounce. It's like a big Olivet, isn't it? That goes down to the bottom, obviously. And you sink your main line, and that just rides up to the surface. Right. And once it's on the surface, it just locks in position. Do you have to keep a tight line to lock it? Initially, yeah, initially. Well, having said that, I mean, once it sort of lays on the surface, it's not going to go up anymore, you know. And of course, when you get a pickup, it just tightens and shoots on. I mean, sometimes I actually like to have it laying on the surface. Because sometimes you get little line bites, and you just see the float cock up in the water like that. Yeah, I mean, that's always been. I like float fishing myself, but one of the pains with it is you get loads of missed pickups and adjusting the right depth and all this, you know. Well, this you haven't. I mean, you can go to any depth of any depth of lake and Bob's your uncle. You just cast it in there and it'll pop to the surface. Well, you could fish in 20 feet of water. It's dead handy with surface fishing. I mean, one sort of important thing though is you've got to have enough weight. Like if you have too thick a line, the float has sort of difficulty sort of riding up it. I mean, I think this is £12 line, which is about ideal, you know. A lot of the £12 lines we use nowadays break well above that. Well above what they're actually stated. But just normal hook length, just single boilie. Again, long shanked hook. I think it's a Camasan B175, my old favourite for years. And I just use a simple knotless knot and And both of us don't like the bait sat really close to the the hook, do we? No, I always think. I mean, I think if you got your bait too tight to the hook, I mean, when you think about it, when we was first using air rigs, blimey, I mean, that bait would be there, wouldn't it? You know, It was. But I always think, you know, if the bait's too tight to the hook,
when the fish blows it out, the hook turns over and goes out bend first.
Yeah,
whereas
I agree.
Yeah, I think if it's a little bit longer, there's a bit of freedom there anyway.
Separation.
Go out and the hook just drops down in the bottom.
Yeah. But I'll tell you what I like for this. A lot of the time, you know, you've got the fish in the situation when you're stalking, and you can't sort of mess around sometimes and get the exact depth for it. But with this, you know, if you're in relatively shallow water, you can see it, and you're right there, aren't you?
Another thing I've noticed as well, I mean, fish don't seem to be frightened of line going straight down through the water. They're just not used to it, so they're not scared of it.
No.
But if you have a line sort of going across the water like that, they often spook from it. So it's dead handy stuff.
Interested in how it works, this. So
yeah, it just threads. I mean, it's got this little U-shaped, or slightly U-shaped affair on the bottom, and it just threads through your main line. And I think that's what it is. It runs freely, but then sort of locks, you know.
Yeah.
Well, about time for another cup of tea, isn't it?
Yeah, why not?
I thought it
was your turn.
Well, no, it's your turn. You caught the biggest fish so far.
Oh, go on then.
See you later.
See you later.
Right, it's day 2 now, and well, day 2 started very much like day 1 finished.
Yeah, it's bizarrely, wasn't it?
You had that big fish. Frank had that big old fish, and after that, I mean, the talking point was a lever, wasn't it? You know, and
yeah. Well, what happened was Luke was telling us that there's a big leather in here. He showed us some shots of it, and he said, "I'm worried. It's not been out for a long time."
Yeah.
And it's a massive fish. It could be 60 maybe, but he weren't sure whether something had happened to it. You know, whether you know, like you do, everyone tends to panic if a fish doesn't come out for a while, don't they? So we were talking about it, and the last thing on your mind after having a big one,
that's right,
is sort of another one that's gone on the missing list.
Well, I really thought, I mean, I can remember Luke saying that. I can remember thinking to myself, I'm going to hunt down that fish tomorrow. I'm going to really hunt it down tomorrow. I'm going to find him, like, you know. And
you know something, mate? I really, really, with all my heart, wanted you to start that or have it.
Yeah.
And then the bizarre thing was, 8 hours after the big fish with a scar on it, you know, the fish with 2 halves, as they call it, even though they ain't got names really.
Yeah.
We'd had a bit of a celebration, haven't we?
Yeah,
to say the least.
We had a drop of wine and whatever, like you would. I mean, it's personal best carp for you, Frank. You know, so you know, nothing wrong with that. We're just human beings after all.
It was great. It was a great moment in my life, you know. And it was. I
know it was. Yeah, I know it was.
Yeah, I was euphoric, and after all these years of trying and then me, you, Len, and Luke had a bit of a party, didn't we? We went to bed at 3:30 in the morning, and I get a screaming run. I come charging out, you know, looking like a Jap sniper, and I thought, Len, I'm in here, and you were knocking out the Zeds.
Yeah, I think I heard the buzzing, I heard the bite, but I must admit, I turned over in a sleeping bag and thought,
I believe you saw. And anyway, I says, Len, come out in the boat, let's get this on film. It'd be interesting, you know. And I just thought it'd be a small fish. We went out there and, well, let's go and see what happens. I said, this feels good. It was stripping line off. Went on a searing run. I thought, oh. So we go out there and huge sort of battle initially, and then it surfaced, this fish. Jeez. So when the fish surfaced, I seen the hook hole was really quite full. You know, the baits rang out.
Did you have any idea of what sort of fish it was at that moment?
Yeah. So I mean, I don't know the fish in this water, but I seen the length of it and the size of it across the shoulders. I thought, oh my God, it's a big leather.
It's a big leather. It's a 50 or 60 pound.